Jai, and welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show. We are broadcasting from Bless FM studio, and this is the Wisdom of the Nile show. And the number for the studio, if in, just in case you would like to interact with us and have any comments or anything you'd like to make, the number for the studio is 07944433136, and that's the studio number. Anyway, my name is Nehibsa Nesabik, and I'm the host alongside my host. Introduce yourself.
Ushayi, it is Kasati Hekama.
Dua Hussein. And first of all, we'd just like to acknowledge, honor, and validate the divine world. We also would like to acknowledge and honor and validate the world of the dead, which is the ancestors. And we also want to acknowledge and honor and validate Prophet Neb Naba, the Musa Morandenibig, also known as the Makaru. We would just like to give a brief kind of breakdown of what the Earth Center is about. And today's show is basically going to be going around the founder of the school, Neb Naba, Prophet Neb Naba, the Musa Morandenibig. So first of all, we will just give you a brief rundown of what the school basically consists of. Prophet Neb Naba, the Musa Morandenibig, was given permission and blessing from the dignitaries of the traditional temples of the Gulmul Kingdom. He first traveled to the USA in 1995, where he had to establish himself, and he first started off doing the Rising Firefly magazine, and then he first opened the first Earth Center school, which was opened in Chicago in 1998 in Illinois. And then he went on further to open more schools, Earth Centers in Brooklyn, New York, and San Diego. Now, Prophet Neb Naba, he was a high priest from the Gulmul Kingdom.
You're so polite.
And he belonged to the lineage of healers, and tracing their history back to the Nile Valley civilization. Now, Prophet Neb Naba's mission was to bring the knowledge of the existing Kemetic temples to the general public for the benefit of humanity. And after his transition, he went back. Well, after his transition, he was known as the truth teller, which is the Makaru, which is the truth teller. Prophet Neb Naba he was a Gormanchi. He was from the Gormanchi tribe, from Fada and Goma, a city near Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. And he began his initiation at the age of 8 years old. As a young man, as a young boy, the Makaru attended European school. At the same time, he was progressing through the traditional education and spiritual initiation. As he grew, the Makaru continued his education, and not only did he attend Colonial University in Kenya, but he also excelled in his traditional spiritual education, and eventually surpassing the level of his masters and become one of the most knowledgeable spiritual masters of the Dogon tribe, of the Dogon people. The Makaru, he was seen throughout Merita, Africa. That's the name for what we know it as
Awesome.
Merita, what is Africa, as one of the greatest masters of the knowledge. And he was an authentic master who had been elected to bring the knowledge to the outside world. And the elders of the initiation, as well as the king of the Gormanchi people, the king Yobili, allowed Master Naba to spread the initiatic knowledge to the west, to us here in the west. And Makaru, he visited over 125 different countries, and his presence had been requested in many temples and holy places all over the world. And Master Naba spoke 13 different languages, included English, French, and German, and was a master of Egyptology and hieroglyphics. And as a founder of the School, the School is a study of the earth energies. The Makru was a great master of all these techniques, and that's what we refer to as like the earth energy readings, which we'll give you a little bit more information on that later on as we go along. Um, so Master Naba was renowned worldwide as a spiritual master. Now he was a traditional Kemetic high priest and a master healer. Additionally, the Makaru was a parapsychologist, a physician. He was a writer, a researcher. He was a historian and cultural activist. Now he had researched and re-established the sidereal calendar, which is the only calendar that is astronomically correct and is not based on social or religious events or beliefs. The Great Book of Divine Audience, um, the translation of the original papyrus known as the New, the Nibsini, and the Insa, which present the original 77 commandments. So Master Naba, as we said, as a writer, Master Naba, he had published over 25 books in many different countries, and he had written poetry and fictions, as well as books and articles on the Mtam culture, history, and spirituality. So in the Firefly magazine, we'll find that there's a lot of articles in there that's also written by Master Naba. Now, he was the founder of the Biowali magazine, and he was the founder and president of KEPRA in Burkina Faso, and it's a non-profit organization of Kemetic culture, workers, researcher, activist, preacher, and healer. Master Naba was also president and founder of the Earth Center, a non-profit organization. Now, we would just like to give you just a brief synopsis of what the Earth Center is about. So the first we deal with is the School of the School, which basically covers we cover three topics in there, which is the Medu, which we know as the Medu Ma'it. The Greeks call it the hieroglyphs. In the Medu, we learn. Yeah, in the Medu, you want to speak?
Yes, sorry. Medu language is humanity's first language. It's a pure language that was transferred to our Kemetic ancestors by the divine world. It is a clear, concise language that brings about mental order. Its advanced sounds and sound combinations stimulate brain development and promote spiritual evolution. There are many texts left in the Medu language. It is the key to unlocking the mysteries of our past and therefore the potential of our future. Modern Egyptology has depended primarily on the Rosetta Stone to understand this complex language. However, the Umtam schools have granted access to this living heritage, which has been maintained in secrecy throughout indigenous communities. And it's this language that we learn in one of the classes in Umtam.
And the benefit of the Medu, it helps to expand the brain as opposed to the English kind of language, which kind of keeps us kind of confined to these 26 letters in the alphabet and basically only allow us to use that 10% capacity of our brain, which as opposed in the Medu Mai, actually it helps us to use a more wider span of our brain. And the second class that we do in there is the Katibi class.
Yeah, Katibi is the class where we learn the most powerful things a spiritual person can do for themselves, which is to purify their mind, body, and soul. We learn ablutions and zemzem, which are techniques that have been preserved and passed down since ancient times for the purpose of approaching the world of the dead and the divine world. So in this class, we learn purification and we begin to master the self through Katibi, which is meditation of the mind, body, and spirit. And it's part of initiation into the priesthood temples. Practicing these techniques enhances the initiate's discipline to master their spirituality and allows one to experience what a deity experiences.
And also in the Katibi, this is where we learn to do about ablutions, which is very important because before presenting ourselves to the netters, our ancestors, we'd usually go through the ablution process, which is cleansing ourselves, and also we also learn the prayers, which are learned. We learn those in the actual the Medu language there, which when we're doing our zemzems, our divine holy days, our daily zemzem, our ancestral holy days, we recite these prayers in the Medu language, and yeah.
These prayers are over 70,000 years old.
Yeah.
And very empowering.
Very empowered, yeah. And the third class that we cover in the Umtam section is the Sunt, which is about the healing.
This class covers the natural healing branch of the school, which is called Ankasta. Ankasta means the life and spirit of Aishat. Aishat is the deity whom the West chooses to call Isis. So under this part of the school and part of this branch of the Earth Center set up by Master Naba was to present to humanity the traditional healing products and remedies that have been striving to make healing available to people outside of Merita, which is the Kemetic word for Africa. And Ankasta was established by the Prophet Naba with the goal of uniting traditional healers and stopping imperialists and capitalists from usurping indigenous knowledge. And also there are healing centers in Togo that's open to public and initiates.
Yeah, so that's the three branches really, like the three section of the Umtam section there. So that's the three topics with the Medu, the Katibi, and the Sunt. Now we have like the Firefly production side of things, where like all our literature, books, magazines, all these different kinds of things are actually kind of produced from the Firefly sections. And again, could you just go through explaining what?
Yes, Firefly Production was established by Master Naba, who one of his quotes is, "Writers change the world." So in 1998, Prophet Neb Naba established Firefly Productions, which is the branch responsible for disseminating the knowledge of the Umtam schools, which are the mystery schools of traditional Kemet, throughout the colonial world. Firefly Production is home to the published works of Master Naba, and various initiates. These publications are available in circulation around the world, existing as a beacon of light and illuminating the minds of seekers of Kemetic knowledge.
So in the Firefly, so we also we have publications such as the Firefly, the Sunnyside magazines, um, where we have the book, the Philosophy Podium. We have the Initiatic Tales. We have the Dendera, the Map of the Sky. Um, what they also what else they publish in the Firefly production?
The Code of Human Behavior,
Yeah.
which is commonly known as the 77 Commandments. These commandments were given to humanity by the Neteru, the gods, and were introduced to humanity in the year 2000 by Prophet Naba Musa, Moran Denenbig. And all initiates in the Earth Center strive to live by these commandments as they are requirements for spiritual growth and living a spiritually honest life. We'll find it.
Yeah. So that is the Firefly section, and we've also got the project in Merita.
Yeah.
And that basically is dealing with natural. Well, it's about doing for self. The project in Merita. So basically, they're just trying to kind of say do natural farmings, maintaining like organic farming. The restorations of the temples, digging and basically providing freshwater wells so that we can have fresh water basically really to assist us really in our everyday need. So the project basically is about doing for self and trying to maintain what the order of the day that was there before, like say the Europeans or that came in really and kind of dysfunction us really from where we were. So that's the free section. The fourth section, yeah, of the Firefly of the branches. So from there we'll do like a slight interview.
Yeah. Yes. Firstly, just to explain the Dendera, the mandala Dendera is the world's oldest and only true map of the sky, with everything in its exact location. It's a symbol of a people who inhabited the Nile Valley and their vast wisdom of mathematics, art, and astronomy. All other zodiacs are all based on this original map of the sky, and you will even see the same zodiac symbols that the Greeks later introduced as their own. Master Naba worked on the mandala of Dendera, which was reintroduced in its proper Kemetic form in 2002. We'll just have a music interlude. Go on, continue speaking.
Yeah. And so later on in the program, we'll be having a special guest kind of say coming through on the program there really. And so we will give out the studio number again, which is 07944431366. And that's the number that you can reach us on really, right? So any questions or anything like that later on, if you'd like to kind of say contact the program, that's the number to reach us on.
It's the uprising, which represents the uprising, the sky fire. Telling each and every one to keep it on the brighter side, the positive side, no matter what is going on. People are dying, children are starving. You give the youth youths them pollution. Lead them to temptation. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know. Better days. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know.
The time is now. Now is the time to eradicate the hatred amongst mankind. A head for a head, we will all be a walking dead. An eye for an eye, we all go blind.
Let's find the solution to this situation. Got to live as one and unite our nations. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know. Better days. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know.
Ignorance enslave, knowledge liberates. Mankind must eradicate the hate. International morality is at stake. For a noble aspiration of man, human rights reassurance, fundamental freedom for all, without distinction to gender, religion, language or class.
People are dying. Children are starving. You give the youths them pollution. Lead them to temptation. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know. Better days. Yes, I know. Right today. Yes, I know.
Mankind, eradicate the hate. International morality is at stake. Don't procrastinate. Mankind, eradicate the hate sooner than late. Eradicate the hate. Eradicate the hate.
Welcome back to the Wisdom of the Nile show, and we'll just have a short little reading here to our sister Kasati. Is going to take us through one of her special readings.
Hushaye. For over 2,000 years, human beings have been lied to by social, political, and religious systems that have no care or consideration for humanity and our spiritual destination, nor any respect for nature or Mother Earth. These systems' only care or mission is to dominate by any means necessary. Through these various systems, we have witnessed the destruction of the human being due to being controlled and enslaved mentally, physically, economically, and most importantly, spiritually. One of the biggest lies that we have been led to believe is that we need religion. Looking at the English definition on religion, it reads, religion, the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. On Wikipedia, it states this about religion. Religion is a modern Western concept. Parallel concepts are not found in many current or past cultures. There is no equivalent term for religion in many languages. Scholars have found it difficult to develop a consistent definition, with some giving up on the possibility of a definition. Others argue that regardless of its definition, it is not appropriate to apply it to non-Western cultures. An increasing number of scholars have expressed reservations about ever defining the essence of religion. They observe that the way we use the concept today is a particularly modern construct that would not have been understood through much of history and in many cultures outside the West. The very attempt to define religion, to find some distinctive or possibly unique essence or set of qualities that distinguish the religious from the remainder of human life, is primarily a Western concern. The attempt is a natural consequence of the Western speculative, intellectualistic, and scientific disposition. It is also the product of the dominant Western religious mode, which is called the Judeo-Christian climate, or more accurately, the theistic inheritance of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This specifically states that religion, regardless of its many definitions, is not appropriate to be applied to non-Western cultures. They know that because all Western cultures practiced and lived spiritually, the dictionary definition of which is spirituality, the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. Prophet and Master Naba Lamusa Morandenebig, also known as the Makaru, which means truth teller, has brought much knowledge and many truths to us through his work inside and outside of initiation, because of his deep concern with the human spirit as opposed to material or physical things. As a Dogon high priest, give thanks to Makaru, du'a to Makaru, for widening my world and my life. Are we going to bring in a special guest today? It will be coming up in one moment.
This song goes in the memory of the beloved Prophet Naba Lamusa Morandenebig, the Dogon priest, Mahir, the truth teller, Besina Basak, which means I will be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Mahir, Mahir, Mahir. Far away, from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, Prophet Naba, far away, Lamusa, far away, Morandenebig, far away, Prophet, from far away, Prophet Naba, far away, Mahir, from far away, from far away, Prophet, from far away. He's the man of wisdom. He's the man who lived by faith, and not by fear. His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lives by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end. He's the prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, La Musa, far away, far away, my prophet from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. Bob Marley say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophet while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We gotta fulfill the boy. Come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come. He got your own told story. Come from far away, from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, prophet Naba, far away, La Musa, far away,
Ojai, and welcome back here. We'd just like to continue with some little special readings from the Macaru.
Yeah, Hujayi. This is from the Philosophy Podium, which is the one and only book written by a Dogon. It's called Philosophy Podium from Dogon Perspective. After serious analysis of the behavior of certain individuals, one is tempted to ask the question, are they really part of this earth and universe? One can say they are simply humans who have failed the test of the dialogue of earth energies, and like all failures, they hide in a sort of illusion of glory. Shamefully rejected from the nature that they couldn't understand, they rush to construct or simply imagine a world to replace the energetic reality that surrounds them. This new world they have created has no other goal than to keep the illusion alive and to keep entertaining them until their final destruction. The initiatic education teaches us that the addiction to destruction and self-destruction is caught like a virus, meaning unknowingly. Destructive germs were introduced on our planet precisely 4,236 years ago by a species of humanoids that lived in caves because their skin and their eyes were extremely sensitive to sun and light. It is this species that introduced in Europe the cult of infantile sacrifices. The sacrifice of newborns persisted in Europe until around the year 800 of the Christian period, and the infant sacrifices stopped only when the biblical story of Yahweh replaced the infants with Abraham's sacrificial ram and was seen as a divinity. Humanity has been taken hostage, and the whole planet is suffering from these destructive germs. The individual, born from the love of a man and woman, finds himself and herself a victim of other individuals' ambitions, other individuals who can't see their victim as something other than a brain to shape, a strength to exploit, or a soul to convert.
Well, Yeah, we'd just like to play a nice little clip now.
This is a clip from the Mackerel, one of his lectures.
I was making fun of a friend of mine. They call me countryman, so I call them Jamaicans. So, maybe today a countryman also would want the world to hear his word. Um, we left the city people on their own, and we could see that if we keep leaving them on their own, we will get nowhere. We watch the world being destroyed. We watch human values reduced to nothing. We watch the world become like a bush where a human being, when they see the other human being, they go, watch out. They end up reducing to making animals their best friends. Well, that really comes as an insult to the human qualities. From the moment a human being end up feeling more comfortable with a dog than another human being. From the moment a human being end up feeling more comfortable than, with a cat or a bird than another human being, we have to admit that we have a serious problem. The values that were supposed to be the foundation of humanity has been destroyed. So, are we going to keep standing there and watching this? Or are we going to step up and say, wait a minute, this earth is the only place we have. We are not planning, we're not building rockets to go destroy another planet. This is our place. This is where we are. So, we can't just stand there and watch our home be destroyed. When we really come into that crossroad, so maybe we will have to go back and try to redefine the values we've been holding. We have to go back and try to redefine whatever we have accepted without question. Take it like humans. Nobody can claim that, whatever they believe in is an absolute truth. Nobody. But what we can do that is human is that accept the principle of growth, which is one time in your life you were thinking the world is a certain way. You set your life based on that. Then sometimes if you come across somebody that has more information, more knowledge than you have, and then they widen your world. And that comes with a challenge. If you go saying, hey, I'm refusing to see it, then don't blame the world for what is happening to you. Because the principle of growth is based on that.
Ojai, welcome back. Apologize for the sound quality on the recording there, really. Um, it was an interesting kind of video clip, really, right? But I'm sure it's not probably coming through too good. Try this one.
Mostly people of, that have been under European influence like this, they seem to confuse spirituality with philosophy. Philosophy, anybody can sit and get drunk and fantasize about whatever they want to fantasize. Well, when it comes to human spirituality, nobody can just wake up and get spiritual. In my place, that's what we call crazy people. You
You
see.
can't wake up and just get spiritual.
It doesn't work like this. It's like saying somebody wake up and become PhD in chemistry in America. How is that possible?
How does one become spiritual?
One thing we have to understand. Take, for example, a society here. In America, even to become a street cleaner, you need a training for it. And that's just cleaning the street. Every job that you have, you have to, train for it. And now something as important as a human spirit and as a human life, we seem to, that's really where the religions have let us down, because they're trying to make it an emotional issue. So there's that kind of rebellion that we have. We really feel weak when we feel like something that close to us, we have to go learn it from somebody else. Well, the truth is that is how it works. Even without initiation, without environment, training and like this, even a person can grow up without even knowing their gender. And that is despite the fact that they could see which kind of sex they have between their legs. So we're giving too much, we're holding too much on we call it projection of our own imaginations on ourselves. You see, take this. Few centuries ago, or with Christianity, the prophets that the Christianity has been presented, most of them said they were hearing voices, and
Yes.
and they think God is talking to them. Go to the street now and say you're hearing voices, and find out where you will end.
You may be listening to someone on a cell phone.
No, what I'm saying that
No, I understand.
they will send you to the crazy house.
Right, I understand.
The others can hear voices, and that's God's voice.
Right.
But then you say God talks to you.
Right.
And then you end in crazy house.
It's called the Bellevue Hospital here.
So there is all this hypocrisy that the colonial society is imposing on people. Because by saying, okay, spirituality needs to be learned, then you will have to find out where to learn it. And the truth is, the more you ask yourself this question, it will take you back home. Then people like me.
You mean back home to Africa?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then people like me becomes your point of reference.
Welcome back, and we just want to play you a slight little interval. Here we go.
Before the guest will come.
Before the guest speaker comes up. Ujahi, and welcome back to the Wisdom of the Nile show. And we'll just like to introduce our guest to the show. Special guest for tonight is Naba Irita Shamira. Naba, can you hear us? Ujahi, Naba? Ujahi?
Yeah,
You can hear? Can you hear us?
yes.
Can't hear him good.
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show once again. You're back on here again.
Thank you.
I'm hosting the show with Kasati,
Ujayi Naba.
Ujai Kasati.
and I'm the Hipsa.
Nehipsa Ujai.
Yeah, so yeah, it's nice to have you back on the show again, really, after well,
Thank you.
not so long ago,
Thank you.
really. And you know, as it's a special week this week, just a couple of days ago, it was a very kind of important day for us, really, in our Sidereal calendar. And basically, as you know, we'd just like you to briefly explain what the event was and how we go about celebrating this special occasion, as it's one of our special days in our calendar.
Uh, Special occasion. Yeah. Well, I'm. I just had to say thanks for having me, and well, thanks to gratitude to Bless Radio as well, and
Um,
yeah. I mean, the calendar is something that's I mean, it's very old for every civilization, and throughout the history of humanity, every civilization has like you know a way of following time, a way of approaching time and space, and with our culture, we also have like a way that we approach time and space, and then in our manner of approaching time and space, we also have you know events, or we have times where or periods where we have to celebrate certain aspect of our civilization or certain people. This is not new, and every culture has in its uh, approach of time and space. Every culture has a way that they celebrate their people, and they celebrate those who mark the history or mark their civilizations and all of that. So this is really like one of the those kind of equation where we have like for instance, on Monday we were celebrating, the transition of our master, Master Nabala Musa, the Prophet Naba, and yeah, he marked history in our culture, our traditions, and all of that. So we have to, celebrate him, and in that occasion, where in that situation, we have to celebrate someone who kind of marked the history and then who transition. We choose that day. That's the day we choose to fast. We don't eat, we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do anything, no sexual activity. We just remain in meditation, for that whole day from sunset to sunrise. And then after sunrise, then just share you know, some things together. So that's what we did. That's what we did for Makaru.
wow. And is this done throughout all the different temples throughout the world that's been established?
Yeah, any temple that's still holding uh the Kemetic values together. Yeah, though they will acknowledge these kind of things happening in the history. They will recognize that, and then those kind of events have to be updated every now and then. So yeah, in Merita, especially, the temples that Makaru affected also are kind of celebrating, also celebrated him. So yeah.
So how different is the way that is celebrated back in Merita as opposed to here in the West? Is there any difference, like the cultural kind of something, any special thing that's done on the day?
I didn't hear that.
No, I was saying how different is the celebration in Merita as opposed to here in the West? Is it done the same way?
In Merita, the way the celebration happened for him will be different from the way it's done in the West. Because in the West you have a lot of rules, you have a lot of stuff that the system itself doesn't want you to do. So in Merita, we still living like our cultures, and we still ourselves, and we haven't changed. So they allow us, that gives us a way of taking care of ourselves and doing things the way they needs to be done. So we will do everything properly, with all of the. It's not like we're gonna wake up and say like let's go, take care of our stuff at our job or at our workplace, and then later on come back and say okay now let's celebrate our dead. No, we wake up and then that's the only thing we do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So as as being close to Naba,
yeah.
obviously you've had special. You was under his wings really for a long time. So, how much influence did Master Naba have on your life to quantify the vast depth of knowledge that you have acquired at such a young age? I mean, when people hear you speak,
Well,
you're very very deep. So I'm sure that you must have influenced you in some way.
yeah, he's he I don't want to say, I can't really imagine how, I can put it like in words like this is how he influenced my life because it's not just that easy, especially at the time, he was alive and we were around and all of that. We were really, really like, at that moment, animated with the spirit of, revolution and the spirit of activism for our culture and for our spirituality. That wasn't there yet. And he died, when we were still very young, young people in the spirit and the mind and all of that. And even if I have to talk about how he influenced, my life and all of that, that's gonna be just me not really finding the right words. I'm not gonna find the right word to really put it. But somehow I just have to look at my life today and look at where I'm standing today, the people that I've been working with, on this path after he passed away, the people I've been around too. We've been holding things together, maintaining things together. So for those people, and I would say that we look back, and then we see where we're standing now, and we know that that's still like his influence. That's like how he really influenced us because even though we didn't really see it, we didn't really see it, being like something like that, but it is. It did influence us, It did. So there's not really like much I can say to prove like, oh, this is how he influenced me because that's just gonna be like me, trying to lie. At that moment, we didn't have that kind of spirit, that kind of mindset, and now we living with some values, we living with some knowledge, we living with things that he gave us, and the only way we can say that he influenced us positively or negatively would depend on the results or the achievement, things that we've been achieving, you know. And also, I'm not going to, disregard like challenges, you know, because not only the achievement, the challenges also are like part of the same thing. Achievement don't just come by themselves; they come with the challenges as well. So I would have to say that, yeah, that's how he really influenced, my life.
Yeah, well, it's sure influence. Sorry, you want to say
No,
something?
go on, go on. So, Naba, just wanted to ask for the listeners, how important is it for us to be returning back to our traditional spiritual systems?
Sorry, what was the question again?
How important is it for us to be returning back to our traditional spiritual systems as opposed to joining religious systems?
Oh well, I don't think this is a question to ask anymore. I mean, you're living in London right now, and living in London and living. I'm right now in downtown Chicago, and everything I see here, I don't see big trees. I only see like big buildings.
Uh-huh.
What's the future of all of this? Those who are selling us the ideas of moving forward, developing, progressing, evolution, and all of that. Well, in my place, we say that if someone promise you a hat, just look on his head and see the kind he's wearing, and then you will have an idea of the kind of hat he will be giving you. Okay, so 2,000 years that this ideology or this new system kind of took the whole world, hostage, and minorities ruling, majority, and there's one cultures, there's one people, killing other people for good reason or bad reason, doing the killings and all of that around the world, by putting everything on the back of democracy, putting everything on the back of whatever we might call it. But I mean, now the rest of humanity, everybody is talking. All of these superpowers, they're talking about. I mean, those holding like the lungs of our planet or the lungs of humanity. They're talking about climate change, and then they want to blame it. They want to find scientific reasons, but no one wants to look like morally, culturally, spiritually, or naturally, what have we done to nature for nature to be, angry with us, and then put everything the way they are now in our life. You cannot just go ahead, in the world killing other peoples. Maybe you might be killing people in Afghanistan or in Iraq or in Africa or name it. But nature has its way of balancing things, and the way that nature will balance things will be like giving you your part also to deal with. Now, is climate change a real thing or is it just political? Yeah, it's a real thing because a lot of people die not just from the heat. And in Africa, we got used to that. We know what heat will not kill you like an African or someone from the people that you call like people who are from the land that you call underdeveloped or undeveloped lands or cultures. This is a reality. What I'm trying to say is that in the modern societies, the modern ways of life took everybody away from nature. They took you away from nature. They took you away from the essence of being human, the culture. They took. There's no culture now. If you talk about culture in the modern society, you're just talking about art. Talk about design. You talk about music. Those cannot be. For us, music is like a way of just expressing ourselves. That's not a culture. Okay, but places where people maintain their cultures together, you call them savage. You know, you call them savage. You call them all kind of words that you want to call them, but somehow things are better. For them, they live in a harmony with nature, and I think at the bottom line is like that's what every human being should want think because either we like it or not, we're gonna have to return back to where we're coming from, and when you want to live your life, you want to live your life, and then you don't want to think about where you're coming from, and you just want to think about the dreams. You just want to think about the dreams that your society is selling you and all of that. You will be surprised at the end of the day. I mean, even if you you still have hope in this system, just look at what's happened to your grandmothers, your grandfathers. Look where they are. Look the energy that they gave to you know this same system that you are trying to also sustain, and then you understand where you're going to end up as well. So that's really like a only way we can see it. There's a good reason for everybody to go back to you know natural way of living, humble and disciplined with a life of principles. Now if you say there's not, if anyone listening now can say like there's not a good reason, this is not a good reason, well, they they might be really, like accomplice to whatever is happening to humanity and then to our nature. They might be accomplice. They're benefiting from it,
Yeah. Well, what this system teaches us, or it doesn't teach us, is how important spirituality is and living a spiritual life, as well as the fact that we were taught, I was taught anyway, through Christianity, that when you're dead, you're dead. So, just reading a quote from the Makaru that says, somehow the success of a life in the world of the dead depend on the success of a life on earth, and our behavior on earth becomes a reserve of qualities and thoughts that would put us as our resources in the world of the dead. Could you elaborate on that for people, please?
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what I was just explaining. The way
Mm-hmm.
you live your life, you know, when you die, where do you think you're going?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying. Like, when you live your life, think about where you came from, because life didn't just start from you being on Earth. Life started from somewhere before your mother pushed you out to just drop you on the planet Earth. Now, if you come on the planet Earth and you think everything just starting here, and then that's where everything is going to finish, then you just an ignorant. You just a big time ignorance, because you have to think that life is starting from somewhere, and then it's going to end from somewhere. So yeah, that's what all he's saying. You live, a good life here according to the natural laws, principle, universal laws, and all of that. Yeah, you will have a peaceful. That's the idea of paradise or idea of heaven. you know
Mm-hmm.
but in this situation, we're talking about nature, we're talking about human life, we're talking about human essence, moralities, qualities. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, that's all he was saying. Don't think because you driving like a how do you call it, a Jaguar car, you living in a fancy house and driving fancy cars, that secure your transition. Now you're gonna just die like everybody else, and then you're gonna just deal with problems, and your spirit will be struggling with problems like that as well.
And this is it, because we don't only live once, do we?
Yeah, yeah,
Nahibsa?
Yeah, I was just starting off, just trying to get some confirmation there. Like in 1980, Naba, he started is it the Kepra Foundation School? Culture. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, please, Naba?
can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, in 1980, Master
Yeah.
Naba started off the Kepra Foundation. Yeah. Is that's what's involved now? That's what evolved now to the Earth Center.
The Hepra Foundation, he started that one in Ouagadougou,
Yeah.
and yeah, he wasn't the only one to start that one, because what happened is that 1990s, if we just decide to talk about 1990s, we just trying to forget about 1970s, because the 1970s were really what determined what gave them the determination to start a revolution, because whatever was happening around that time was actually what gave them that kind of determination to start the revolution. And yeah, it was just a group of tra- traditional initiates, and all of that who kind of decided to do it and fight for the culture and all of that.
Uh, and so is that what evolved now to the Earth Center?
Yes, and then later on, that's when Masanaba asked for the permission, from the royalties and the kingship to take the initiatic principles in the West, because it's needed. No one is prophet in his own village. You'll never be, look as a prophet in your own village. So what's happening is that he has to come, because if in my village or in my countries or in my continent, the rest of humanity look at the European power as their prophet, then let me go, change their prophet. And there's a great chance that their prophet will come back and change them in the way I want it, even though they're gonna end up, worshiping him as the one who brought everything. At least, it's better to see them being themselves than trying to be something that they are not. So that's what brought him to first in Germany, and then after Germany, he came to America.
So was there opposition to him as an African in Germany spreading this knowledge?
Hello.
Yes, sorry, Naba. I was asking, so was there vast opposition to him in Germany as a black man?
I think he had a good experience in Germany, but Germany wasn't really like a place where like you know uh the control, the Babylonian control is really coming from. He has to come from somewhere, and that's why he decided like to come to America, because America is the one kind of being like the police of the whole humanity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay, the belly of the beast, so to speak.
the belly of the beast. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, we're trying to more or less dedicate this program here to today about Master Naba, and we were just trying to get the listeners to have a better insight as to who the man was and his aim and his vision really. Like me personally, going through initiation and like say going through and hearing the holy drama and the creation story. I look at Master Naba as someone like Wusa, who came to basically um, give people a second chance, give humanity a second chance. Um,
Yeah.
and that's how I see his movement really, in terms of like him recognizing that we needed help here in the West, in fact in the world, but more so in the West, because this is where like a lot of the destruction seems to be taking place, where the form of education that we're given, as I
Yeah.
said, going through initiation, we can see how miseducated we were, even our perception of how we view the world, and getting this knowledge, you know,
Yeah.
um, the vision of the man. Could you explain something about him, just so that people know that he's not just a normal, simple man as people might think that he is, for him to
Now,
to do what he's done here.
now before he died, he said one thing that as his disciple, but also as his his child, he said something that we try to respect. He said, after I'm gone, for those who know me and those who did not get a chance to know me, ask them to start questioning my life. I was just a spirit in a human body. That's what I can tell you now. I was just a spirit carrying a mission, but just in a human body.
So we have to kind of as we said, we have to know who that spirit was really, because I mean his work to for now is just, as I said, for me as an initiate, I had many questions really on my journey, really, right, trying to find myself and my purpose in life. And I'm very grateful, really, right, to stumble, because that's literally what it was. I stumbled on the Earth Center, and going through initiation really it's taught me a lot. And for others out there really who are still trying to find themselves really, we're just trying to let them understand really, like say the purpose really, like of why the Earth Center was actually was necessary here in the West, and if we hadn't got something like this, how different, I mean, do you see things here for us now?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know about that spirit, then as we say most of the time, you recognize it, my son, under a building when they build it. So that's how it will be like. That's the only way. People just have to join. People just have to start the journey, that he brought about, and then see really, then they will get a chance to understand the kind of person or the kind of spirit he was and all of that. So for the Earth Center, why the Earth Center? Well, it's almost like asking me, why do we have spirits? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't know why human carry spirit, or why human breathe, or why human walk in the street. Why women cross. Right now, these human crossing in front of me. Why do they cross? No one knows, because right now we live in the world where everybody just become like this, remoted, control, beings, and the only things, only our desires and our pleasures and our, things that kind of guide us, but principles. The difference between human being and an animal is the principles, you know, a life of quality, morality. That's what we call a human being. We just don't call a human being someone who has two eyes and one head and 2 feet and one arm and all of that, human being. Because some might be looking like us, but they might be thinking like beasts. They might thinking like, animals. So we don't call that human beings. So the Earth Center is just, he brought the Earth Center to really bring that kind of concept of culture, that concept of, what they call that concept of uh, principle and discipline, a life of principle, a life of discipline. Because nothing exists without principle, without discipline. Even this system that we call in the Babylonian system, or the belly of the beast system, I mean the beast, that system also has like principles and discipline that you respect. When it's red, you stop. When it's green, you go. See?
Wow, Naba. Yeah. So it's we. It's a pleasure really to have you on the show really tonight, yeah, because there's so much questions really like we would like to ask you really, but it was more so to do with Master Naba himself because that curiosity. I mean, I've spoken on occasion really like to other initiates really who had the pleasure like of being taught by him or have met him, and just the personality and the character of the person really was just overwhelming. And one initiate that I spoke to actually said that Master Nabi was like a psychic when he first met him. Yeah, without kind of just looking at him, he was able to tell him certain things about himself. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, the reality is this. The reality is that we can't really, say much about him. Not because we don't have anything to say. It's just because we don't have what it takes, to be able to really express, you know, who he is and all of that. Okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, he told us, especially his initiate, one day I'm not gonna be here, and when you teach, make sure your initiate knows me through you. Make sure your initiate sees me through you by the way you're teaching them and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I can say. Like for those who might feel like, oh, why didn't we get a chance to be at his time? Yeah, even in myself, if I wasn't, born around his time to get even to work during his time on Earth, I would really kind of bite my finger for that. But certainly I got that chance. I don't be like, man, I got that chance to work with him, and then I think that's a privilege. And for those who didn't get that chance, don't forget that we are not just his students; we are also his disciples. We try to make sure his work, his name, his mission doesn't finish. So we're ready to give whatever it takes. Last time I was on this radio show in England, I think the got me cut off from everything. That radio even got cut off from everything too, because there's a lot of truth, a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom about the place you live now, about everything about your life, all of the lies about your life that we have in our mouths that we just have to say, and if we say it, that can cause us death, or that can cause us, all kind of troubles. So
Problems.
it's better we just kind of, acknowledge the sacrifice, acknowledge his sacrifice, his hard work. He did it by himself. He didn't have anyone to help him. Maybe his wives, maybe he has his wives next to him helping him, type this, do this for me, do this, that. But I mean, but he did everything by himself. Now we have each other. We have each other.
But you've taken up the challenge, and you seem to be doing quite a good job at it, though.
It's sorry, it seems like we may have lost Naba for a moment. Okay, Naba, you're back?
Ujai Naba?
Ujai.
Yes, you was just muted. I was going to say, once upon a time, they would say the truth would set you free. And it seems like now, the truth that the Makaru is bringing to the world and those who are trying to spread it, it seems as if we have to be so careful.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we can still talk. We can still talk. Yeah.
of course,
Yeah, we
because
can still talk. We can still say what we have to say.
as you said, it's a revolution. It
Yeah,
started,
we can say.
Personally, myself, to see the Makaru and his humility, all I can say is we have to just try to emulate the spirit that you said that he was, that he is.
Yeah.
Thank you. And continue the works. And the importance of the 77 commandments as well, the great book of divine ordinances, a lot of people do not realize is the fact that this exists. And it was not just the 10 commandments that was given to humankind through religion, but we actually had 77 to live our lives by. So how important is it if one is not living that life by the commandments? What would you say to those who are not living, trying to strive to live by those commandments? Oh, he's being muted again. Naba? It looks like we've lost Naba again.
Yeah, shortly for a brief, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's probably this is the thing with the WhatsApp call. Really, you get cut out really, like when you're.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we should do now. We'll better play a musical interlude, Nahibsa, and we'll see if we can get Naba back on the line.
Maher, the truth teller. Besina Basa, which means I'll be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Maher, Maher, Maher. and not by fear. His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lives by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end. He's the prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, La Musa, far away, far away, my prophet from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. Bob Marley say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophet while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We gotta fulfill the boy. Come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru. He got your own told story. Come from far away, from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, prophet Naba, far away, La Musa, far away, far away, my prophet from far away, prophet Naba, far away, from far away, from far away.
Ushayi, everyone. We're having problems trying to get back through to Naba. Firstly, I should apologize. Some of the songs that we played today, the first song that we played was by King Bala, entitled Makaru. The second song we played, Brighter Days, was from Uprising Roots. And the song we've just played was Richie Spice, The World is a Cycle. We're now going to play another video from Master Naba entitled Human Goal and Identity.
Idea that has nothing to do with what they've been exposed to. What we mean with that, you can't sit and have a thought that is not coming from something that got into you, one way or another. So, which means our environment, the nature, the universe, whatever we see of our environment, play a huge role in the steps that we set towards the future. So, that is our essence. And now, the gods ask us, what is our agenda? What do we want? And that is when humanity was coming. And gods are asking us, what is our plan? We don't have a plan. What can we think of? We can think of anything. We didn't have enough time to be inspired or to be distracted or whatever you want to call it by the existence. The only thing we could perceive is the gods in front of us. So we did the best we could do, which is we tell them we want to be like you. We want to build a divine world. We want to build a world like the world of the gods, because that's what we can do. That's our best. And we really gave it our best. But now there is a problem. A human being sets as an agenda, wanting to be like gods, wanting to reproduce the world of the gods. But a human being is not a god. We die. We perceive them to be immortal. We get sick. They don't get sick. We grow old. They don't grow old. We are dirty. We are dirty. If you don't believe me that we are dirty, even physically, stay 1 week. Don't brush your teeth. 1 week. Don't take your bath or your shower. And then ask your friend to smell you and tell you. That is how dirty a human being, a human body produces its own corruption. If a human being produces his own corruption, and yet he wants to reproduce the world of the gods, there is a problem. Because the difference between a human being and the divine, the world, the God, the gods are holy, they're sacred. They don't carry corruption. Human beings are dirty. Let's have that honesty and admit it. We are dirty within the body. We are dirty within the minds too. Because the favorite field of corruption. We are the favorite field for evil. Well, look, we're talking about, the black people issues worldwide. Guess what? It came from other humans too. If it was not because of these other humans, we wouldn't have ended up slaves. You see? That's how dirty and evil a human being can be. Now, carrying all this, well, we're just different from gods. We cannot approach gods if we don't get rid of that. We are a danger to our own selves. Well, we are also a danger to everything that comes in contact to us. You see, we have a huge problem. And we want to build a divine world. We want to be like God. Well, obviously, it's a long way to go. We don't know how many reincarnations it will take. But our goal is clear. We want to reach there because that's what we see as the best that could happen to us. Reach as close as possible to the gods. Now you see the situation of power. The gods want to access us, have to deal with our ancestors. Okay. Obviously, we can't access gods unless we go through the ancestral line. But there is a problem somewhere there. Now, who is the self? How do we come into being? When we say me, oh, you, what do we really mean? What do we really mean? Because obviously, when you take the context of the surrounded out, it becomes more difficult to pinpoint where the me is. Where the me is becomes more difficult. Well, we understand another thing on the other side is that the existence doesn't come with holes in it. There's no empty space in the existence. Things don't happen, they become. Things transform. The universe transforms. It doesn't have a place in the universe when we go, okay, there's everything in this side and there's nothing here. So, for anything to come into being, it will have to have a history. Maybe that's why we are being born. It's because we have a history. Because I just told you, really our idea of the self don't really, I don't know what's the word we put there. Because it comes from the parents, and their idea of the self comes from their parents, and then so on and so on and so on. You see, we have a history. That's why we can be born. If we don't have a history, why would we think the world, the universe should expand and make another empty space so that we will exist? It doesn't work. So, if it's like this, then like how our schools are teaching, every birth then can be perceived as a reincarnation. Because you can't even point which part of you is not part of the history. So really your concept of you is a thought, it's a consciousness. It has nothing to do with the reality of it because every part of you is part of this flow, this river, of life that is passed through you. You get that? and nobody else. That was like you know how in the wild the predators and the prey to get you they isolate you. You see it in TV, you know, predator wanna get the prey, they try to see how they can take on the side. So our idea, the religions that are teaching us about ourselves, being just us and nobody else, is really that principle. You become weaker because you turn your back on yourself. Really. You turn your back on everything that makes you you. So it becomes very easy to get you. You see. Just like nowadays, you know how things work. So please, do yourself a favor. Apply this to your life.
Ujai, welcome back to the River of the Nile show, Wisdom of the Nile show. This week, what we was aiming to do was to cover, as it's a special week. Monday was a special day for us, really, as you heard before in the Earth Center, and it was the passing of Master Naba, the Musa Mona and Denebig. And as we've mentioned before, we honor the day by fasting from sunrise to sunset, and we do like a communal zemzem, which that was open for the general public and anyone who wanted to attend. And we'd finish off our fast by breaking it with a feast. And as it was the event or the occasion was around Master Naba, we felt, from week to week, we've been trying to put forward his work, but we're just trying to just find out a little bit more about who the person is, and to honor him even more, because for us in the West, we was on a downward spiral, and Master Naba basically he gave his life to bring to us really this knowledge, really, which is hopefully getting across and getting to humanity, so that we can kind of say be reorientated to wise up, that we should have respect for nature, respect for the planet, respect for our ancestors. Through initiation, we're taught all these things, these different principles, different values, really, which under the Western European system, it's about making as much money as you can by any means possible. We're given things to self-destruct on. Sometimes we believe really that's success, but oftentimes really it's to our demise, really. And so knowing that what the system puts in front of us as success, and as I said, it sometimes leads to our destruction. With everything that we make in destroying other people, we know that none of it we can take with us when we exit this dispensation of time to go back into the spirit world, really, to hopefully become an ancestor. And we've said in the past, when you die, you don't just become an ancestor. So you become what they call like a dead relative. And so, as much as Monday was a day for Master Naba, it was also our ancestral day as well. So it just so happened that both events coincide on the same date. So it was a special day for us as initiate, really, right? Honoring our ancestors and honoring Neb Naba for bringing to us what he has done, what he's given to us. Is there anything that you want to?
Yes, it was Ancestral Holy Day, and that is the day, as Nahibsa says, is the day that we actually honor our ancestors. We feed our ancestors, which is a spiritual energetic exchange, and by doing so, we're actually elevating them in the world of the dead. The ancestors provide the link between the human world and the divine world, and we realize that the blood in our bodies is not ours. It was given to us by our ancestors, and we pass it on to our descendants. So, on those divine ancestral holy days, we honor and validate our ancestors, and by doing so, we're ultimately honoring ourselves. Now, Master Naba has given us the tools in order to elevate our ancestors, that without which we would not be getting very far in life. If we cannot pass on this knowledge to our children, when we die, we will not become ancestors. So, I'd like to read a section to wrap up the show relating to Master Naba and his passing. Well, in the month of Hebsinseni 407, which would be July 2008, Master Naba passed away, transitioned into the world of the dead in his mother's village in Togo. Though his passing shocked his disciples, initiates, families and friends, it matched his forecast. Even in death, the prophet exemplified the Kemetic culture. Death found him ready to carry an honorable personal history to present to the Neter Wasser, the sovereign of the world of the dead. He could stand before the Neteru with true accomplishment, as is further proven in the many who find inspiration in his legacy today. I am one of them. I know Nahibsa is one of them, and all the Earth Center initiates are also experiencing his legacy today.
Yes, and we truly.
And also, apologies, Nahibsa, we'd like to thank Naba Irita for coming on the show today, and unfortunately, we lost contact with him. So he will be back at another stage in time. So dua Naba Irita.
Yeah, and we just like to kind of give out some information about the Earth Center itself. If anyone is interested, really, the telephone number for the Earth Center, which is the London branch, is 0207 175 4144, and the email address
Is enquiries UK at theearthcenter.org. So anyone that wishes to contact us can do so. We are open on Sundays, where we have our 3 classes, where visitors are welcome to come in and sit in on a class and experience initiation. But they should definitely call, but our address is 21 Sunnyside Road, London, E10 7BB. Our website, for those in the UK and across the globe, would be theearthcenter.org. Center is spelled CENTER. So we have at least 9 locations of Earth Centers temples across the globe. In Manu, which is the USA, in Canada, and 2 here in the UK.
and the other branch is in is our Coventry branch.
Yes, that's in
Yeah.
Coventry. The telephone number for that is 0247 62 66 85. 59.
And for anyone really who's got friends and family closer to that side who are interested really like in initiation, um, then that's the number that you can reach the Coventry branch on really. And as I said, you can phone them up, and basically you're allowed to come and sit in on one of the classes, and that experience will give you a good idea of the knowledge and the information that Master Naba has brought to us here in the West, to helping us really to find ourselves again. And for me personally, I'm truly grateful to stumble into the Earth Center. And as they would say, it wasn't you that brought yourself here, it's your ancestors really that guided us here. And so being here is only right that we should try to honor and respect them, so that it's a mutual communication between us and them and us, you know. And so we would like to say thanks for Bless for giving us the opportunity in having another week, really right, to put ourselves out there to our community, to the rest of the listeners out there, sharing information given to us, which is expected of us to pass it on to someone else, to the best of our ability. And we just hope really right that if anyone who's interested, as I said, we will give it a number again for the temple. It's 0207 175 4144. And as I say, we on a Sunday we do the free classes. That is the Medu, the Katibi, and the Sunt.
And we'll end this now with the proverb of the week. A tree cannot stand without its roots. This proverbial wisdom is absolutely true, no matter what kind of tree we are talking about. And so, with the world of humans, a family can be considered as a tree. The visible part of the tree is what we tend to notice. This can be considered to be the living relatives. The roots of the tree are hidden. These can be considered to be the dead relatives or ancestors of the family tree. There must be communication between each part. So, considering the wisdom of the proverb, if a family ignores the roots of its family tree, that tree is doomed to fail. So, Iriru, till next week.
Iruru and Duawut for everyone for listening, and we will be back again next week really with another edition of the Wisdom of the Nile show. And so we would like to play you
Duawu to Bless, Duawu to the Earth Center, the divinities, the ancestors, and the Makaru, Nebnaba Lamusa, Morandenebig.
This song goes in the memory of the beloved prophet Naba Lamusa Morandenebig, the doggone prince, Maher, the truth teller, Bisina Basa, which means I'll be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Maheru, Maheru, Maheru. I'm from far away, I'm from far away, far away, from far away, West Africa, from far away, Prophet Naba, far away, Lamusa. His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lives by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end. He's the prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, La Musa. Far away, from far away, prophet from far away, prophet Naba. Far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. Bob Marley say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophet while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We gotta fulfill the book. Come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru, come to Maheru. He got your own told story. Come from far away.